Chapter 12. Theodore's steps paused slightly out of reflex, then slowed down, hesitated, and was extremely upset, but finally stopped. Tomorrow, he had to register for martial arts classes. Jeet Kune Do, Taekwondo, Karate-do, he must beat her. Serafina stopped in front of him and raised her head. I won't let you go find Chloe. Have you made enough noise? His face was gloomy as if it was about to rain. Whoever I sleep with, you want to control? Chloe is not a good person, better than you. He glared at her fiercely. You only know how to rob my property, and she knows that from now on I have no money, but she is still willing to follow me, and comforts me. She was speechless. How did this brat develop his mind? If he said he had no money, people would believe it? This trick could also move him. He really has a head for growing melons. He saw her speechless, guessing that he had gotten the better of her, and became even more smug. You don't like me and her together, I like being with her even more. It was over, his mentality had rebelled. She gritted her teeth. Chloe doesn't like you, she only likes your money. Even though you don't have any money now, she knows that you will inherit Smith Corporation in the future. Do you think she is really not scheming, really naive? He frowned. Look in the mirror and see if you are embarrassed to say that about others. I found out that the most scheming, not naive person is you. She retaliated. That's right, I'm scheming, I'm not naive, but at least I still protect you, unlike those other girls around you, a bunch of people with hearts deeper than the sea but still pretend to be pure. If it weren't for the fact that my future fate is tied to you, if it weren't for the fear that you would ruin Smith Corporation, then even if you were completely deceived by them, I wouldn't even bother to look at you. He was furious. According to you, I'm not attractive to women? Are those girls who like me all because of my money and status? She saw it very clearly, looking at him in great surprise. Otherwise, how could a spoiled, and lustful young master like you have the power to make girls come and go, one after another, to be abused? He closed his eyes, his handsome face trembling. His charm was denied. This was definitely the greatest humiliation for a man. But the words she had criticized him were not over yet. She took a fresh example. For example, that Emily, if that movie wasn't funded by Smith's subsidiary, would she have stuck with you? Now it's great, look at her finding a new spring. Her feelings for you are so sincere. He angrily raised his eyebrows. Have you criticized me enough? Is this your joy? No. I just want to say, Theodore, you should grow up. She firmly looked into his eyes filled with resentment, gently and forcefully said. You should think more about the Beaumont family and the Smith Group. You are the only grandson of this entire family. In the future, the entire Smith Group will have to rely on you. Even if you have no interest in this field, I hope you can at least be a glorious and upright man, able to maintain our family's image to outsiders. He was stunned. No one had ever said these words to him. He had never thought about these problems. Serafina had gone against his will in all sorts of ways. He was very disgusted, and also very hateful, but for some reason, these words made his face burn. In his heart, a bit of shame that he had never felt before was kindled. She saw her brother's face gradually turn red, and while she was waiting for him to answer, Theodore withdrew his leg and brushed past her. I'm going to go find Chloe. She almost wanted to trample him, this fish that refuses to eat salt. Let's make a bet. She was helpless, calling him from behind. He stopped. What? I bet, if you don't take the initiative to contact Chloe, don't look for her, don't pick up her calls, don't reply to her messages, don't meet her, in less than a month, she will definitely take the initiative to find you, maybe even cause trouble for you. She curled her lips. By then, you'll see that she's not as innocent and kind as you imagined. This Chloe character in her previous life had caused quite a storm, but he had too many lovers, she couldn't remember them all at once. But now she was 100% sure. He leaned over, the white light stretched his shadow to an unusually tall size. He glanced at her. Do you dislike her that much? It's not a matter of liking or disliking her, it's that she's not a good person. She smiled confidently. Don't underestimate a woman's intuition. What's the bet? Sure enough, this was what he cared about the most. He had protected Chloe earlier, mainly to annoy Serafina. If you lose, you have to obediently listen to me in the future, go to school hard, and study management. If I lose, I will listen to you, return all the money, house, stocks, cars, and accounts I stole from you, not a penny less. Finally, she added, but the diamond can't be taken back. He didn't think twice, okay. She nodded in satisfaction, adding, of course, you're not allowed to play tricks during the bet. He looked at her disdainfully, you don't believe in my integrity? But she thought that his integrity had been broken for a long time, it was better to use something to tie him down. Don't text or call Chloe secretly, otherwise you won't be able to get hard again in this life. He had a hard time calming down, now after hearing her say this he almost vomited blood. Sister, can you not have such a strong taste? Although my friends and I also say all kinds of vulgar and obscene things, you are my real sister. I really can't stand it. He glared at her again. What about you, what if you bribe Chloe? She shrugged her shoulders, as if nothing had happened. If I do, I will never know what happiness is for the rest of my life. After returning home, she found her grandmother and told her about the situation at the party. Grandmother listened silently, not showing any intention, but only smiled. This little girl, I clearly told you to write 150 million, and you dare to write 250? This time the Lancaster family has been harmed by you. She smiled. I did this to let everyone know how precious the things of the Beaumont family are. Moreover, this diamond was exchanged for the lives of our family members. Her voice gradually lowered, revealing a faint sorrow. No matter how expensive the things are, they are not as precious as the safety of our loved ones. Grandma was momentarily stunned, not expecting her granddaughter to say that. But she wasn't someone who was easily moved, and in the blink of an eye, she immediately changed the subject. It's good that you did that, it also made Mr. Lancaster see your perseverance. She didn't understand. What? Grandma didn't explain, but asked back, have you seen the grandson following Mr. Lancaster? You mean Harrison? Grandma nodded. What do you think of him? Her face turned red, and she said with difficulty, Grandma, what are you saying? Grandma couldn't help but laugh. I only asked you what kind of person he is, not whether you like him or not. Why are you so nervous, Grandma? She was embarrassed, her face even redder. Who told her that the two of them had been talking about marriage before? Her temporary misunderstanding was also something that could be forgiven. Finally, she became serious, speaking logically. It's hard to tell whether he's good or bad, I feel like he's very cold. Grandma laughed again, with a hint of deep meaning. If you want to hide many things, of course you have to make it so that others can't see anything. In the business world, this kind of opponent is the most terrifying. But she didn't feel anything wrong, she just tilted her head. Then don't be his opponent anymore, just be his ally. A light flashed in Grandma's eyes, not knowing whether Serafina's words were intentional or not, but she didn't comment further, just changing the subject. You told Mr. Lancaster, our family tried to change Smith Transport in 13 months, I was very happy to hear that. Do you believe that we can really do it? With Grandma here, what else is there to be afraid of? She firmly nodded. I know all the current problems of Smith Corporation, but I don't understand them clearly, and I'm not sure if I can manage them well. So now I can only rely on my understanding. She briefly explained her thoughts. If production capacity is lacking, then buy more production lines. If capital is low, then find a way to borrow from a bank or financial center. If we lose talent, then improve welfare and development space, and at the same time recommend more high-tech talent. That's all I can think of for now. But, she bit her lip, it's simple to think about, but when it comes to actually implementing it, we'll definitely encounter many problems, you'll see. Hearing this, Grandma nodded repeatedly and sighed. Those simple things you mentioned are also important matters for the group. You can think of those things, I am already very happy. Don't be afraid, if you have any questions, just ask me. She smiled with relief, and finally sighed softly. I hope that little brat Theodore can understand quickly. Mentioning Theodore, Grandma's face revealed a look of joy. I just saw you bring him back, he has never come home before midnight. This is a good start. She nodded vigorously, expressing her fighting spirit. I will consider a few things I can do and list them for you to see. After you approve, I will feel confident and bravely volunteer. Grandma smiled and patted her head. Okay, I will wait. Oh, it's the weekend, you must also remember to rest and go out to change the atmosphere.